Every once in a while, you come across a game that really pulls you in. You can't stop playing, and it feels like every 10 minutes you're hit with some new bombshell mechanic or story beat that means you definitely can't stop now. Whenever I play games like this, I always finish them with the exact same thought. The real star of this game is the team behind it, and that's the same mantra that got me to look up and recognise some of my favourite game devs. Miyazaki, Kojima, Gabe Newell, Ken Levine, all creatives that took really massive swings with their projects, and the developer I'm talking about today is no different. Daniel is someone who's been creating titles for years, with his three mainline games being three of the best indie experiences you can play today. His work isn't just creative, it's extremely thought-provoking. Mullins has made a name for himself through Pony Island, The Hex and Inscription, each of which defies conventional game narrative structures. Rather than simply telling stories, his games are the stories. They're self-aware programs that fuse the player and protagonist into one, so that you feel like the game is made with you in mind, you're not just playing as a character within the game. Metafiction and fourth wall breaking within games has obviously been touched on before, but never to this degree, and in my opinion, never executed this well. His games are all tied together in one big universe, so I don't really want to dive too far into the games themselves as to avoid spoilers, so hopefully anybody that watches this and likes the idea of these games can give them a try and fall in love with his work the same way I have. His debut game, Pony Island, is a perfect example of the self-aware thread he runs through all of his titles. At first glance, it seems like just this cheerful arcade game, but very, very quickly it begins to glitch, distort, and reveal a dark, more sinister world beneath the surface. The game becomes a battle not just against in-game enemies, but against the game's very systems. Menus are puzzles, errors are clues, and the antagonist isn't a villain within the game, it's the game itself, constantly throwing new hurdles at you and making it harder for you to progress. Mullins manages to turn the player's own expectations of, at the very least, a functioning UI into gameplay elements, turning something familiar into something disorienting and engaging. His next game, The Hex, is when I realised, okay, this guy's a gamer. This game is a mystery that has you play through 6 game genres to understand the overarching story of it. There's the platformer, the fighting game champion, the RPG party leader, and so on. Each character tells their story through gameplay that mimics their genre, but slowly those familiar forms fall apart. And what initially seems like a collection of clever genre homages becomes a reflection on identity, purpose, consumerism, capitalism. All of these really big, heavy subjects are being applied to the game characters you play as. As the story goes on, there's this sense of melancholy that starts to build. The characters begin to feel like people, and they're trapped and abused by their coding master, and the game quietly shifts from this playful nostalgia trip to a complete tragedy. Oh, remember how I mentioned fourth wall breaking? Well, if you want the true ending / epilogue to this game, then I'd highly recommend finding what you can on a first playthrough and then watching this video by Flemonade, who does a really detailed breakdown of the ARG surrounding this game and how to get more of the complete story. And now, onto the big boy. Even after games as good as Pony Island and The Hex, it was Inscription that truly brought Daniel Mullins into the spotlight. Inscription is definitely the hardest game to talk about without spoilers, as so much happens in the relatively small time scale while playing, and it's also extremely paradoxical for me to talk about. It's one of those games like Outer Wilds where recommending it essentially comes down to don't look anything up, just play it. But at the same time, it's my favourite and the first one I played of his games, and all I want to do is a deep dive on it. But I'll try and refrain from spoilers if it means encouraging just one person who hasn't heard about it to play it. On the surface, it's just a card game, but like his previous work, it uses that established game structure as a trap. As players progress, the game peels back layer after layer, revealing hidden narratives, broken systems, potential characters, and by the end, Inscription is no longer a game about cards. It's a story about memory, control, corporate espionage. Like Pony Island, it breaks the fourth wall so often and so cleverly that it never quite allows the player to feel comfortable, and that's the point of it. What ties all of Mullins' work together is not just the universe he's created between these 3 titles, it's a clear passion for the world of gaming, but also fun meta questions that are applicable to both the universe he's created and ourselves as players. Who are these companies that we support? What would we do in this person's situation? Are hidden narratives more fun than the surface ones? In an industry that sometimes seems like it rewards predictability, Daniel Mullins has built a career out of unpredictability and surprise. His games twist their mechanics into metaphors, user interfaces into plot devices, and it makes bugs feel like storytelling tools. If anybody is watching this video and hasn't heard of these games, I'll be putting the links to their Steam store pages below, along with Daniel's itch.io, and I would highly recommend trying them out. His next game, a sequel to Pony Island, should hopefully be coming out in the near future, so you'll have plenty of time to catch up on his other games before that gets released.